Okay, so we're going to do a little update on Miss Prima today. We're still doing the same exercise, just walking on the long reins on small circles. We're up to working 30 minutes to the right, 30 minutes to the left. She's been walking about 20 minutes to the right, so I thought I would just show the end of one direction and the beginning of another. And I'm finally starting to see her gain some weight, relax some of those tight muscles, and sort of towards the end of the 30 minutes on one direction, she gets a little bit fussy but starts to lengthen her neck more and more. And I had to kind of interrupt her to get the camera started, but she has been lengthening her neck, kind of hiking her legs, playing with the feel of, changing muscle tone, changing circulation, and there's a few flies out here. There's some big horse flies we're having to chase off now and again too. So she's been pretty comfortable, kind of maintaining a steady forward, slowly playing with letting go the tightness through her neck and top line, and starting to trust her hindquarters little by little. So that transition right there is what I'm looking for on the long reins, just finding that length of neck. Oops, we got flies. And being able to maintain it during motion. So to come out of this sort of severe posture of extension, the reason I chose the small circles, well, at the walk, because she's 31, we can't work her too hard. So the small circles with the long reins are going to address hindquarter engagement as well as lateral stability through the hindquarters and the back. And that's going to help her regain her stability through the back and hindquarters kind of as fast as I know how to do using just groundwork. But even though this is the fastest exercise I know on the ground, it's still going to take her some time. So like I said in the last video, this is probably what we're going to be working on through the heat of the summer. And we're just coming into early May. And so I just sort of do a check-in with Prima, maybe once a month after I do the video updates on the other horses in the barn. But she works as many days as I'm working everybody. Her work is just, yep, there's those flies, slower and consistent. Oops, hang on, sweetheart. I know. You've got to, oops, sorry. I didn't even get it. There we go. The horsefly season has begun. So some of that head tossing is the horseflies that bite pretty hard. And some of it is her just sort of releasing what's been pretty chronic tension through her neck, which is why her neck looks so skinny. And finally, her belly looking a little bit rounder tells me the weight is slowly coming back. But the sort of wasted muscles along the top line, that's going to take some time to rebuild. But I'm hoping, like month by month, when I do these little updates for her, that even though her condition became quite poor with her, between her colic surgery and her teeth being removed and her diet change, this slow sort of just steady work for her is helping her move better, feel better, maintain her health in her older age at 31, and we'll just see how far she gets with the time we have as far as building up more muscle. And the first thing I'm looking for to really build muscle that we could see as good development on the outside is that her core muscles supporting the use of her back and hindquarters are getting strong enough that she can start to lengthen that neck more and more, that she can move, be even in the posture of long and low, which is a little hard for her. That last little bit of letting go through her neck kind of makes her feel unstable. So it comes in fits and starts. Sometimes the flies help, right? So we'll just do about 4 more minutes this way, and then we'll look at the first 10 minutes on the change of direction. So the last 10 of the 30 minutes is kind of where I get my best postural changes or movement in every session. And so the cycles, session by session, have been that she's been lengthening her neck a little sooner, she can hold it a little longer, it's still not her prevalent posture, which means we're still working on building up some of that core strength that we can't see. But like for her, even now, to really let go of that tightness through her neck and fall into long and low has been a couple of months worth of work, just steadily rebuilding her stability, her core muscle stability, and building up her fitness a little bit after sort of being in such a weakened state. I know, that's with the fly spray on. They're a little bit relentless today. Excellent. So about 2 more minutes. I know this can be pretty boring to watch, but when we're rehabbing, that initial work of really stabilizing the skeletal coordination and stabilizing the core muscular support for that skeletal coordination is just going to take the time it takes. It's no faster for us when we go to the gym or we start Pilates or we decide to get fit. It's lots of practice, and it takes a while to really see the outward results of all of those internal changes. I can feel where her weight shifts are going through the long reins, and she's steadier and steadier, needing less support from the long reins and kind of holding a more consistent feel on both of the long reins. And a little more willing to kind of keep a slow but very steady pace of the walk. Right? And again, every time I see her, either slowly or suddenly lengthen that neck, I know we're getting there. I know it's just a matter of time and repetition, letting her body re-strengthen, keep pouring the groceries on. She basically eats, or I feed her as much as she will eat. And little by little, kind of restoring that health. She's looking better month by month. I can finally start to see some improvements in how she looks. But I was encouraged always to keep going by how she feels and how she looked forward to our time working together. So that's the last 10 of 30 minutes to the right. And we're just going to change direction and do kind of the same size circle, staying at the walk to the left. And the right has been physically her harder direction. So I've spent sometimes more time going to the right, and I start on the little bit harder direction because it helps her work through the toughest parts of getting her balance and find a little more stability on the hard side, which then makes the easy side, as we go through these last 30 minutes, I usually gain a little bit bigger change. by working through the toughest part first and then doing the easy part after. And that has a little bit to do with her age. Like, I kind of have to do the tough part while she has the most amount of energy. And then in order to kind of get a full hour of steps without taxing her physically, it's a little easier to do the easy direction as her energy winds down the second half of the hour. So again, it's pretty good. I'm very happy to see her trying to lengthen her neck or suddenly lengthening her neck. And it's very quiet, repetitive work, but like her ears half out, all of that sort of shows how she's internally focused and she's working on it, other than the fly distraction. I know. I should have left your fly mask on, but it doesn't make for a very good video. So even after smearing her face with fly spray and spraying her down, the flies are a little relentless today. So hopefully with these updates with Prima, part of the reason I wanted to show what I would do for an older horse recovering is not that I really expect anything from her. I would just be ecstatically happy if I ever got to ride her again. But this mare's been with me her whole 31 years and taught me quite a lot about horses. She was a lesson horse for many students, and I owe her her best possible health as she ages and struggles a little bit. And the colic surgery was pretty hard on her. The teeth removal was pretty hard on her. And the diet change helped her a lot, but it was very hard to keep weight on her at this age, sort of taking her off of the commercial feeds and putting her back on a forage diet. So lots of fat supplements, and slowly her old belly is kind of coming back, and she's looking a bit rounder through the barrel, even though she's still a little wasted on her top line and a little pointy through her hindquarter. I think that's more and more to do with muscle wastage, that she just needs to rebuild muscular strength, and starting to be less and less about having to put weight on her. I think she's starting to come into a good weight, but still lacks quite a bit of muscle strength. So I have to keep the food poured on, but it's more important that we work as often as we can. And if my schedule allows, I would work her an hour 7 days a week. It certainly wouldn't hurt her, and she doesn't really need a day off. An hour is pretty comfortable for her now. We had to work up to that a little bit. When she doesn't have the energy to do an hour, or if it's wicked hot and she starts to get too tired to do an hour, we quit early. But she's been, this past month, at least 4 days a week. She's doing this for an hour, and it's starting to really show a difference in her body in a positive way. And again, there, as she lengthens the neck but continues to offer the walk, we're starting to work some of the muscles that we really need, that we will be seeing on the outside. We're always working the core muscles. That's the point of the long reins on small circles, is it's going to tuck into that core muscle work very quickly. Oh, and instead of the cat, I have a hawk visiting today. Good. So the blowing, big release of tightness, really feeling good to her. Confirmation that we're absolutely on the right track with this as her sort of developmental program. Like I said, not super exciting to watch, but really makes my heart feel good when I get to work with her and I get to see her happier, more comfortable, enjoying herself. And if I don't work her, or if I leave her till last, she's at the gate wondering what the heck's going on. So she really looks forward to her little exercise routine. So that's about 6 minutes this way. When the horses go this slow, I swear time crawls, and so I have to keep watching my watch. And I'll go ahead and do the 10 minutes this way. If you guys get bored, you can always shut the video off. But little by little, sort of on this direction, just watching the movement get more comfortable for her, more fluid for her. Watching that neck lengthen out little by little, or not, or having her little adjustments as she goes, as her body coordination changes. And to me, helping my horse and knowing that I'm helping her is what makes this sort of boring task really enjoyable for me. I love our quiet time together, and I love being able to help my mare stay as healthy as possible for the years we have left. And just spending time with her. I go, if this is what we can do with her at this age, to me, it's still getting to spend time with my horse. And I would be, like I said, over my face happy if I ever got to ride her again, but she's going to have to look a whole lot stronger before I would even attempt. And so developing muscle at the walk is not a quick process, but the coordination of the skeleton is what determines muscle development. So in other words, she doesn't have to trot or canter in order to really build those back muscles and hindquarter muscles back up. What she has to do is move in a different posture. So the lengthening of the neck is our first big transition of posture that's going to start working more and more the back muscles and the hindquarter muscles. And she may lengthen and fall into long and low. That's okay. The smallness of the circle is sort of what's keeping her hind legs under her, giving me the best engagement possible. So she may just lengthen the neck without falling into long and low in this particular exercise, but she may. She may fall into long and low as part of the process, which is okay. In fact, it would be a whole lot better than that posture of extension with her neck shortening, her back dropping, and her hindquarter disengaging. And that instinctual posture, just there like that, right on cue, Prima. That instinctual posture, it never goes away. It's what the body does when either there's fear present or when the body feels unstable. So that's part of what takes some time with this process, is she was really stuck in that instinctual posture because of her health issues. As she got weaker, she got less and less stable. So physiologically, she's going to stay in that posture in order to find instant stability, even though that posture works against stability long term. It sort of brings instant relief for survival, so we all do it, horses do it, but over the long term, it has a destabilizing and weakening effect on the body. So the only way to re-strengthen her is help her not have to use that posture anymore. And how do I do that? The small circle helps her hind legs stay up underneath her. That's what more engagement means. And the long reins are resisting the weight shifts of the sort of tilting and rolling of the hindquarters and the back left to right. Helping her find the stability on a small circle, when the back and hindquarters feel more stable to her and they have a little bit of core muscular support, she won't need that instinctive posture of extension. She won't need to shorten her neck and elevate her head and try to balance on her front end, because her back and hindquarter is becoming more stable. So that transition is always happening with every stride, going back and forth, right? So the more strides I get with the neck long, the more I know she's building the kind of strength she needs to not have to live in that upside down posture. Right? How long it's going to take, I got no freaking idea. I just keep doing it until I see the body change, and I see maybe from the beginning of our long range session that instead of taking 20 minutes to start to lengthen her neck, that she's going to come out into our sessions and have enough core strength built up that she's going to choose that posture of having a long neck, maybe long and low, long and level, long and low, don't care. But the lengthening of the neck is that release of, or it's a transition from stabilizing on the front end to stabilizing through the back and hindquarters, which is where the body is designed to be stable. That's where the mechanical use is supposed to be. And I think I've done 10 minutes this way. So that's sort of where we're at as I yak away. So I think now, yeah, that actually went faster than I expected. So I did 30 to 40, 40 to 50, yeah. So that should be about 20 minutes. We'll wrap it up there. And I've got 20 more minutes to go on this direction. Hopefully just making that postural change stronger and stronger and easier for her. So that's Prima's update for May.